Welcome to Life-Changing Challengers, the podcast where passion meets purpose. I'm Brad Minus, your host, guiding you through stories of transformation and triumph, from endurance feats to overcoming adversity. Our guests defy the limits and inspire action. Ready to ignite your desire and incinerate your barriers? Join us. Your journey to the extraordinary begins now. All right. Hey, welcome back to Life-Changing Challengers. I have with me Neal Fisher, who happens to be the author of The Unified Man, an excellent book with a bunch of tenets and a set of mindset blueprints to help you throughout planet Earth. So anyway, hey, Neal, how's it going today?
Oh, fantastic, man. Loving it.
That's what I like to hear. Yeah. Just by the way, Neal's in Australia. So we're actually talking to the future right now. So I'm totally crazy for that. So anyway, Neal, listen, I always start out the same way. And I would like to know, just first, give us a brief history of your childhood, how you grew up, who you grew up with, the makeup of your family.
No one wants to know that, so I'll tell you all about it. My parents didn't want to raise us in the city. So they purposely moved to a small little coastal beachside village in North Queensland in Australia. We lived in the rainforest, lived in an old banana shed in the rainforest, fresh creeks, dams, nature, all that beautiful stuff. And then also we had the islands and coral reefs and beautiful oceans and the most gorgeous beaches in the world. Look it up on the internet, Mission Beach, Australia. It's absolutely sensational. We're very fortunate. We had generally healthy food, vegetables, fruits. Yeah, there's always a little bit of processed stuff in there, but grew up drinking creek water, grew up drinking rainwater, and had an older brother. And I just had a very thorough childhood. I was very blessed to have a lot of purity. We weren't around crime or any of that rubbish in the cities or that you see everywhere. So we're lucky. And I was lucky too, because we're all born with cards. We get dealt cards by the poker dealer that is God when we're born. And I was lucky to have intelligence and humor and wit and prowess. So I could be the biggest class clown all through school, but then also I was top of the class and it was effortless. You have all these things that you're blessed with, but you always get a few dud cards as well. I was always fearful, I would say, because I was terrified of my father's wrath. Now, my father he was the best dad ever. He was a shit husband, but he was a fucking great dad. He never done anything nasty to us. It was just a healthy dose of fear. But because we're very obedient, so to speak. But he loved us. He looked after us tremendously. Took us fishing, camping, all around the islands and stuff like that. But having an innate fear from a young age, it creates a schism within when you start to attach to something. Even though I had all of this confidence and outwardly charisma, there was always that fear and that was something that haunted me through those teenage years. And Dad, they split up when I was like 12, and I just didn't even recognize it, didn't even register it, because they were still communicating and still saw each other. So it didn't really even affect me. Anyway, you got any questions?
Yeah. It's so interesting that you said that, because I don't think anybody's ever said that to me before. I know a bunch of people that came from so-called broken homes, and no one's ever said that to me. So that is an interesting take, that you could say that, it didn't affect you. And I think that's probably a good telltale to your parents, because obviously they still parented you as mother and father, and the marriage part just didn't work out. So that's a point to your parents.
That's why they did it, Brad, because they were fighting. Obviously, it affects you. And the reason I say it didn't affect me is because that's what we always have, blinkers and blinders. There's always a shadow aspect of ourselves that we can't see. Oh, I'm fine. Everything's great. But not necessarily. There's always something under the surface that's going to be being a driver on your attitude or your behavior. There's going to be something. There's always something to dredge up from the abyss within. So even though I say it might not have affected me, no doubt it did. You can just tell underlying drivers, and you just ignore things because they were always fighting. They were always fighting in the end. And that's why they split up, because they were wise enough to go, look, this isn't working for us anymore, but the kids. So the sacrifice they made of the family unit was to protect the kids, because there was just no good fighting in front of us.
Yeah, that's something that we're not finding nowadays. Right now, at least in America, our divorce rate is over 50%. And it used to be, oh, you stay together for the kids and then maybe you'll divorce when they're out of the house. And that's not happening anymore. They're just giving up, and they're giving up on the kids too. And that's what's causing a lot of issues that we've got nowadays here in the States. I don't know. Is it the same way there in Australia?
Yeah, and of course it is. Same way everywhere. It's division. It's the whole, I don't want to get, I'm not political or anything like that, but it's a communist doctrine to destroy the family unit. And when you destroy the family unit, especially the father's the figurehead. The father's the strength. That's the defender, the protector, the provider. And when you degrade that role and make it out to be an oppressive role rather than a role of strength and as a role model, you end up with all this trouble, with kids raising kids, single parents, single fathers, single mothers. And at a young age, very young ages, you're not even matured. You don't even know yourself until you get into your 30s, 40s. So you just end up with kids, raising kids. There isn't that role model. There isn't that path of initiation of ritual leadership to show people, to actually educate them and be, more importantly, be that example. Because at the end of the day, when it comes to a kid, monkey see, monkey do.
I agree wholeheartedly. And as far as that little bit of fear you had growing up because of your father, my father did the same thing to me until I was about 14, 15. And even then, it still continued, but he did it in a healthy way where at one point there's a kind of a switch that tricked, and all of a sudden we just became best friends. And that holds to this day. So let's circle back now. Your parents split up when they were 12. You didn't really phase you. You went into, is it called secondary school there?
Yeah,
We call it high school. You call it high school too?
Same.
Okay. And that you said you got great grades there. Did you end up going to college?
No, what happened at school is that, like any of us, we get introduced to drugs, to losers, and all these fucking people around us that just end up bringing us down. So I still trumped in school, but then just smoking heaps of pot, drinking, and just the cowardice continued. The cowardice around defending myself, or the cowardice around talking to women, because, I don't care what anybody says, marijuana is definitely not good for you. And the fact that it's legalized and widespread and so potent, it does, nothing happens by accident. It's done on purpose to keep you a fat, lazy, mindless, consuming slob. I know, because I've been there. I've smoked more pot than you've had hot dinners. Like, it's not good. So then, doing it in a nutshell, doing all that just amplified my fear, amplified my cowardice, and I would have my strengths in one area, but there'd be a chink in my armor, a pain within that I was never addressing because I was too damn paranoid to actually step out of my comfort zone and go and do it. So that haunted me for a very long time. That sorrow, that pain, that loneliness, that disconnect within and without, until I come to about grade 10, grade 11. So I was 15, 16 years old. I just had an epiphany one day. I woke up and I went, I can't even remember the last 3 months. I can't even remember what happened. I don't even know what date it is because I've just been smoking that much fucking pot. And then it's like we all reach an epiphany. We'll all change when we finally have had enough pain. It'll just hit us. We'll realize that the bandages only hide our wounds. It is ourselves that must heal them. And I made the decision. I just stopped. And then from there, my life turned around. I got all the good grades again. I eventually met a girl, got a girlfriend. Praise be. Holy, thank gosh. And then, I went to go to college, university. I went there and just went, this isn't for me, because there was 10 million other kids there that were way smarter, way more dedicated. It was, above all, it was immature. Just the shit that people were going on with. It was just like, I don't belong here. And that's what we all need to find, is that we all have that pain within of separation because we don't have a place where we belong. We don't have a group of people that share our interests or share our drives. And you have to just keep looking for that. And that's what I did. I left there. I come back home to my girl and all that sort of stuff. And from there, that's when a whole other chapter opens.
Oh, excellent. I like to hear that. So let's see. So that must have been what, you were 18, 19. So what did you end up doing when you decided to leave college?
Come back home. Dad wasn't happy about it, but he got over it. And then I went to work. I was getting paid good money. So he was happy. And I was happy too, being a kid earning nothing. And then I come back, and because it was a small town and being the construction figurehead that he was, everybody knew everybody. So I got a construction job and I was pulling good money making for me. I was like, holy, I'm rich. And
Yeah.
then for the next like year, just worked that and then saved up the money. And then I was able to buy a house when I was like, whatever it was, 18, 19 years old. So then use that money and he was happy with that. Went bought this house, started renovating it to do it up, to sell it, to make a profit. But then the 2008 global GFC happened. So then it all just went to crap. So then I was stuck with this house. And then that's when it started to go downhill, because it wasn't the fact that I was stuck with the house. It was my poor decisions that resulted then, because I was always doing self-development, reading all the books, traveling the country, going to the seminars, people like Tony Robbins and all those sorts of people, trying to find the way, trying to find the answers, trying to get rich, ultimately attached to the material world rather than going within. And then started smoking heaps of pot again. And then lo and behold, things started to go wrong because I tried different business things like just investment strategies. And then eventually settled on day trading because I liked the idea of it. It's just you and yourself. And I had a mentor like one-on-one, and we'd meet in groups like we are now online. And I'd trade with him. What happened, because I was up in the ether, I thought, oh, I know what I could do here. Quick money. Because I'd done all that work on the house, I borrowed all this money on the house. And then the GFC, the value of the house crashed. So I was trading all of this money, borrowed money. Value of the house was down. I was smoking a pot, eating lots of bad food, and not turning up to do the work anymore. I was just following his trades in the background, taking responsibility, but all just turned bad because what happened with him, he knew exactly what he was doing, but his partner that he was working with got greedy because I could see behind the scenes. I developed friendships with some of his team, and you could get an insider's view of what was going on. So they sold all these programs. So he was under all this pressure. He couldn't trade anymore. He was just making these decisions, trying to make money, trying to make things happen. And it all just crashed. Everyone lost all their money. I was lucky. I pulled out because I seen what was happening. So I still had a little bit left, but I ended up just blowing it anyway because I was too lazy to go back to work. And then one day I woke up, I was separated. The woman, the one and only woman that I'd fallen in love with, she was with another man. My body looked like shit. I was bankrupt, and I had a dependency on marijuana. And it was all preventable, the whole lot of it. I saw it all coming. I just ignored it because I was too grandiose, too narcissistic, up in the ether, just living in a fantasy world, a delusion, and it just crashed around me. And that's what happens, is when we think too much. We get caught up in our own immature, and the culture feeds us as well. We get caught up in our own immature grandiosity. I'm special. I was born special. Here's the thing. We're all born unique, but we're not born special. You have to earn the right to be called special. You have to earn the right to be called strong. You have to earn the right to be called wise and a leader and someone magnificent. You're born with the capability, but not with the prestige. I wasn't earning it. And that's why the universe just tumbled it on its head and just crashed it down on me. And that needed to happen because I needed to grow.
That is profound. And I love the way that you speak about it in this grandiosity, because it's so going around right now, this narcissistic behavior that we've got. Everybody feels like they're an influencer. Everybody feels like they're this. And some of it, sometimes it works, and sometimes it doesn't. But let's step back again. So you ended up being $208,000 in debt, and you were separated, just like you stated. So then you went back to work with your dad, right?
Yeah, that's what happened, is because I'd left working. Like because I was so wise, I stopped working. I'll just make money trading now. Anyway, so yeah, the only thing I could do was to go back and actually really submit to construction, to concreting, because number one, it was something that I could jump into immediately and actually make a good money in to pull myself out of the mess. And number two was like, when you're in a hole, you got to stop digging and start climbing. So I stopped smoking weed, went on a full organic detox purge diet for a year. Didn't smoke pot for a year. It was probably like 9 months, to be honest with you. Then I started smoking pot again, but it was a lot more controlled. Anyway, so I went back working for him, and I did not want to do it because it's dirty, hard work. It's dirty, hard work, man. And especially where we live,
Yeah.
where we live in North Queensland, it's thermonuclear heat. It is gonna haunt, man. You melt out there. But here's the thing though, Brad. It all had an unforeseen positive side effect, which was that I was able to develop strong bonds and learn from and have friendships with real men, real strong men that lived in the old world. They don't know anything about this cyberspace. They don't know anything about social media. They don't know about any of this global citizen Gaia worshipping, gender bending, just identity schisms, just rot us all from the inside out. They didn't know any of that crap. And myself included, I'm the last people of my age. We're the last generation to know what the world was like before. There was a world that existed before, the old world, before everything went mad. But anyway, the point is these people grounded me in reality. I was taught and shown and embodied the power of perseverance, doing something hard that you don't want to do for years. I learned the value of loyalty and dependability and reliability. When that concrete truck, when that mud turns up, it's a time bomb. You have to be there. It's concrete waits for no man. People are relying on you. It is going off and it is going hard and it is going off now. So you had to be there no matter how hungover you were, no matter how little sleep you had, no matter if you had no sleep, if you know what I'm talking about, you had to be there. You had to be that strong man. It's like going to battle. People were depending on you. You were depending on them. So it taught me like the honor code of no matter what, you have to be there because people say, I don't care what anyone thinks about me. Well, that's because you're an asshole. You should care what people think about you. The people in your immediate tribe, what is your reputation? How are they viewing you? What is your character? What is your reputation? Is an important word because we think this and we think that. And we have all these ideas. They're just concepts. And most of them are false. How are people actually viewing you? What is the feedback they're giving you? And that feedback of how you're being perceived and how you're interacting with the world, that's who you are, what you do, and your reputation. That is the biggest indicator of who you are, character.
I agree with that wholeheartedly. Prior to you going back with working with your dad being a concreter, you're sitting at a desk, you probably got a drink with you, and you're making these decisions. Now all of a sudden, everything's gone flat, and you got to go back to working in this blue collar, hard, tough as nails job. Can you paint us a picture just give us one day in the life of a concreter so we can paint that picture of what the difference is?
Well, that's it. You said it there. We're working nights too because we're trading the E-minis, the US market, S&P E-mini 500. So yeah, it was just easy going. Sleep in all day and just do whatever you want. You know what I mean? Easy peasy. Go and eat as many ham sandwiches as you like. And that's what happened was the downfall. I became lazy, apathetic, and complacent, and entitled. I thought it was just going to fall on my lap. So we all need that downfall, that shattering of pride. And that's what I had to do. I thought I was above it all. And I got shattered. Had to come back, put on his gumboots. So a typical day is you're getting up. You could be getting up at 2:00 in the morning. You could be getting up at 3:00 in the morning. Up you get, and you're hungover too because you've drunk 20 beers the night before. So you're hungover. You wake up, you've got a gutsache too because you've gotten drunk and just eaten a million hamburgers. You're getting up, you're dusty, you got a headache, you go to work, and then you have to jump into a beast of a session. Forget the gym. You want a hard workout, go on concrete for a day. You're either swinging a big metal sledgehammer, hitting staff pickets, pieces of steel into ground, rock hard in the Gulf of Carpentaria, which is up north of Australia. It's hot up. It's like the desert. It's nuclear. So you're going to hit these pieces of steel into rock all day and melt, or you've got these liquid weights. You've got this liquid weight. 1 cubic meter of concrete is 2.2 tons. So to shovel that shit all around the place, you're sick and it's hot and you have to do it. You can't just go and have a break. You can't just call in sick. You have to do it because the people that love and respect you and the people that you love and respect, we're all counting on each other. And you'll get smashed in the head if you don't do it anyway. So you have to do it. And that's a day in, day out, 6 or 7 days a week for 10 years. Welcome to my
Wow.
life.
I don't think people understand what hard work is nowadays. So that's a great picture, and I appreciate you painting that for us. All right, so 10 years, you finally get out of this debt that you made for yourself. What then?
Oh, well, you're going to love this. It was actually 8 years, right? 7 or 8 years. And then guess what happened? Literally, I finally paid off everything. I finally paid it off. And here's the other thing that people need to keep in mind. I could have paid it off all a lot quicker if I'd had more impulse control. If I didn't eat so much fast, if I didn't drink so much alcohol, if I didn't still just keep doing drugs. I was lucky enough to have role models and such a strong, positive father. He loves his beers, but he's a strong man and he's a positive man. He is such a good role model. So I was able to balance that, but I could have got to where I needed to go a lot quicker if I just gotten rid of all the impulse control. Anyway, the day after, literally the day after I'd paid off my debt, I met a man that I call the prophet of profit. And he introduced me to cryptocurrency. He introduced me to crypto. And then all of us, anybody that goes down that rabbit hole, they get crypto fever, get consumed by it. Overnight millions, click. And then guess what I did? I went and borrowed another 80 grand and sunk that into the crypto market. Idiot. And then guess what? It all just turned sour on me. And it all turned sour quick. Here's the thing though. Because I'd gotten all that money and then I'd gone through another breakup. So I was in a turmoil and then I was stuck concreting again in this situation. I couldn't handle it. I have to get out. So I sold everything for about half for 40 grand. But because if I just held on for another couple of weeks, like I was planning to, instead of getting emotionally wrapped up in it, I would have just broke even, sold it all. I would have been sweet. But because didn't have that impulse control again, it all just turned to crap. And because I had that avarice and just jumped in, click, 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 clickety click, that debt's up, mate. But anyway, I learned my lesson. So to answer the question, then situation, because I moved to a city then, finally, I can get the hell out of here. And then I went back to my little small coastal hometown, just went back in my ute. And if I couldn't fit it in my ute, I didn't need it. And that's the thing. We all have too much stuff. We all attach to the material world too much. Like I'm a minimalist. And minimalism is powerful because just touching on one concept, any possession you really ever have is your body. That's why you need to put full maximum effort into it, because you can't own anything because the earth owns us, period. So come back and then I could accumulate. I was working concreting, but because of my trade level of ability then, I was making way better money and working way better circumstances where it was actually, you could pick and choose the jobs you were doing because I wasn't attached. So you could do a lot of the time. It wasn't actually too hard because of the crew, the tight, awesome championship blokes I was working with, and everybody's understanding. We would just structure it so it wasn't hard because everybody knew it was. Don't get me wrong, you still have your hard days, but would make it easy where I can. And that camaraderie of working hard together, that's something that you really link into, and you get a lot of pride, satisfaction, and fulfillment in life about just conquering those challenges with a tight group of strong men.
I can relate due to I did 9.5 years in the military. So I got a pretty good idea what you're talking about.
You know better than me.
Got a good squad of guys around you. Yeah, there's nothing better than having a good team around you. So another 18 months, now you're working and you're actually working a lot easier because you've got a system in place is what it sounds like. Everybody in your crew sounds like each of them knew their job backwards and forwards and you can apply them where their strengths were. Is that about right? Excellent.
Is. And so don't worry, get me wrong. It's still 80% hard, but 20% would be easy. So that's what I did for the next 3 years. So that's what happened now, Brad, is then for 3 years, because I didn't have the debt. And because I was so used to putting all of my money into paying off this debt, now I had that frugal habit. Even still drinking and taking drugs, I still had 85% of my money left over because I was such a tight ass at that point. Now I could actually start building and accumulating and saving up heaps of my money to get into property again. And that's what I did. my dad, being the guy that he is, he spotted some properties around the town that had gone bankrupt, and just the government was just selling them up for peanuts. So I was able to pick up this property for nothing, absolutely nothing, and just work on then build a house on there with no mortgage. I didn't need to go and borrow money because of all the money I'd pulled in. It was just every week able to just add something else onto it. And then in this process too, I met another woman, got into another relationship there, and things are going good. But we all have a deep yearning within, in our heart, in our solar plexus. We all have a feeling, an internal compass that tells us that we need to expand, that we need to go in a different direction. And the needle on that compass always points true north. And the needle is fear. Now, there's two fears. There's a primary fear of death, and there's a secondary fear of growth. Everything we want is on the other side of that fear. I had a good life, but the problem was it was an easy life then. It was a comfortable life. Now I'd reached my plateau because I wasn't utilizing all of my abilities. I wasn't actually really expanding beyond my comfort zone. I wasn't growing anymore. I wasn't actually really helping anybody. I was not fulfilling my life's calling, being blessed to be born here on this planet. So then it all started again. The depression all came back, the anxiety, the angst, and then the drinking just kicked up, and then the drug take, all that shit. It all just increases to hide and bandage that pain. And was sober, but the pain was still there because I was still living a comfortable life. And it just led me to Brink's End, you know what I mean? It really led me to the saddest and worst I've been in my life because I'd now made it. I was debt free. I'd built this house. I had a relationship. And then I sold the house and I didn't know any money on it. Then I had all this money. I had all of my time back. Fantastic. I finally made it. And then now I was empty. I was worse than what I was before. I felt worse than what I did when I first, 10 years, 12 years earlier, when I got myself into that mess, because then now what? I was lost. But the beauty is, it's only when you're lost when you can actually really start to find yourself, because you let go of all the identities, let go of everything you attach to, all your pride, all your ego, all of your grandiosity, all of your so-called perceived status, all of your elevation. It all disappears. And you're left with just that pain. That's all you're left with. So that started the second journey, the second hero's journey, which was, I've got to leave everything behind now. I've got to leave behind the old life. I had to leave behind my family, the comfortable job, sold it all, and I had to leave. And that's how I ended up where I am now. And again, that threshold is fear. You have to accept that call. Whatever it is, it's going to be scary. It's going to be terrifying. But guess what? If you don't do it, you're going to die with regret. And I'll tell you right now, there's no other pain greater than regret. And I know that because I'd felt regret my whole life. And I think we all do, because we all know in our hearts where we're supposed to go. We know what direction we're supposed to go. But we deny it. And that's why we have the pain, because we're denying ourselves.
So you said the pain was like speaking to you, right? And basically you're telling me that the pain was telling you that you need to leave everything behind. Is that basically what it was telling you? Because I'm trying to get this conversation in my head going. You get a great relationship. You got a job that's paying you money, but there's something what I'm hearing is something's missing.
That's right. Something's missing.
Yeah. You became a minimalist. So you didn't really have any assets. You had the assets we had cash is what it sounded like. So you have this pain that's talking to you and you decide to move to the Gold Coast or Gold Coast, right?
This is what happened.
What made you pick that location, and what did you think you were going to do?
Here's the thing, is that we all want power, right? We all want to be wise and powerful. We all want status. We all want to be strong. And that's what we're supposed to be. We're supposed to be strong. In the heart, we can feel it in our solar plexus, in our heart. That's where our sense of self-worth lies, energetically and spiritually. Pride, that's what I've called solar plexus. I could feel that. All of these things went right. The call of my conscience was telling me that you need to go. You're meant for so much more. You have to leave behind the world of the known. It's archetypal hero journey. And my story is your story. It's all of our stories, every single one of us. It's the path of initiation to go through the threshold to discovery, to discover higher consciousness. So I didn't choose the Gold Coast, it chose me, because that feeling, that sensation, it's hard for us to pick up on, and it's hard for us to know what it's saying because it speaks a different language, a deeper truth. We're stuck in the rational world of intellect. Rationale and intellect is a beautiful thing, but it has its limits. And it is also derived from our primal instinct, our primal intuition. It is derived. Before there was rationale, there was intuition. And the thing with it is, we rationally want to know the whole story, want to know all the steps. That just puts us in the future or the past. It's unnecessary. Step number 10 isn't necessary. Step number 1 is what we need to worry about. And that's why our intuition is hard for us to obey, because it doesn't give us step number 2 or 3. It only gives us step 1. It only gives us one step at a time because it's smarter. It knows that that's what's all that needs to be happening right now. You need to be present and take that present action now. Take that one step, take that next step. So how does this tie back into the story? I just knew I had to go. I packed everything back into my ute, went to drive out of town. My ute blew up. The day I went to leave, my ute blew up. So I was stuck in town. I couldn't leave. So I wasn't at home anymore with the girl or the family, or the pets, the family. I was staying at my mates. So I'm stuck here. And I'm saying to myself, is this a test or is this a sign? Is this a sign that I should stay here? I should go back to this comfortable life? Or is this a test of really consolidating what you really know? Because what I was going to do, I was just going to get in my ute and drive out into the desert and just run away. Just go on high and go on some spiritual trek. What I needed to just get rid of everything, all down to my body, my bag, and my bank account. That's it. Because if you can't strap it to your body, anything you can't strap to your body that's in your immediate possession, it's not yours. It is now forfeit, and it is up to the whim of the world. I had to get there. That's what happened. I was forced to do that. And I was like, okay, I know what's going on here. I know I need to leave. I know I need to go somewhere else. What'll I do? I'll do what everybody does in every story, whether it be fiction or non-fiction. You go on a trek. You go on an adventure to go and see a master. And that's what I did. I knew a guy that lived in New Zealand, Uncle Paps, multimillionaire, international bodybuilder. He'd been married for 27 years, has kids, grandkids, healthy, wise, powerful. This is the guy I need to go and see. I need to go on that mission. I just rang him up and I just met him online. I said, hey, bro, I need to come and see you because I just needed someone real in the flesh and I had the ability to do it. No worries. Come on over. Sounds good. Sweet. The plane flew off, and then it was like a threshold. I was flying off from Cairns, which is in North Queensland where I lived, and I looked out the window and went, no, I'm not coming back now. There was like a nervousness. This is it. I'm stepping through. Got to the airport in Brisbane, which is near the Gold Coast. And I was just making it up then. I was just going to find a new land and a new place to call home, a new base. So I'd ordered a new passport because I might end up staying in New Zealand where Uncle Paps lived. Got to the international terminal and they rang immigration and they said, oh, wait a minute, sir. Just wait here a moment, please. And I thought, okay. I had health supplements in my bag and some of them are white powders. I thought maybe they think they're drugs. No worries. They said, did you order a new passport recently? I said, yeah, I did. They said, that means this passport is now invalid. You're not getting on the plane. You're not going to New Zealand. You ain't going to see the master. You're staying right here, boy. I just went, oh, fuck. But that only lasted for about a quarter of a second because when you submit to the path, when you get the hell out of your own way, give yourself over to the greater driving force, it organizes everything for you. Everything is happening divinely and uniquely and precisely for you at all times, all moments, forever. And I knew, sweet, this is a sign. My philosophy is my body, my bag, and my bank account. Where I go is my home. My body is my presence. This is a chance to embody this new philosophy right here, right now, accelerated growth. My sister lived about half an hour north of the airport. Sweet. Went and saw my sister. Haven't seen her for ages. Stayed there for a week. And all these things started happening. Meeting people, excitement of meeting in a new land. But also, don't get me wrong, the uncertainty and the fear, the lure of the comfortable familiar. Every morning I'd wake up with a fear. Every afternoon I'd go home with an elevation because I'd be pushing the comfort zones. The beauties of social media. Friends of mine in the Gold Coast, good friends of mine, and they saw on social media that I was down here. They said, come down to the Gold Coast, you'll love it. My sister said, down the Gold Coast, you'll love it. And I come down to the Gold Coast, and I love it.
She did. Did she say, go to the Gold Coast? You will love it.
Straight up, anyway.
Yeah, good. It's those intuitions that really are starting to intrigue me a little bit. So as we're speaking and you're giving us these nuggets of information and wisdom as you're telling the story, which is remarkable because it gives you credibility, but it also gives people that are listening to this conversation a break. Hey, I did this because, so I am digging that, by the way, and I appreciate it. Where these philosophies, I'm going to call them philosophies for lack of a better term, are these philosophies things that you've been thinking about this whole time, or are you giving us this hindsight that you've come up with this later on and this is what you must have been doing at this point?
It's always been there. And at the end of the day, we all have all the answers with it. We just need someone from without to show us. You can't trump intuition or instinct. That is ever present. You can't build instinct. You can't learn more about instinct. All you can learn is how to tap into it more. So these deeper truths, they're revelations because it's revealing what was already there. But through concepts, philosophies, and perceptions, that's how we're able to view things in a different light and actually able to harness it more. So I come to the Gold Coast, right? And then the next phase of the adventure begins. Come down here, and it was like Grand Theft Auto. It was like being in the fast lane. It was hell of a lot of fun. Fast cars and all this shit was happening. And at that point too, I was sleeping in my friend's laundry. I was sleeping on a mattress in the laundry, but I was happy. I was feeling great because it was like, I'm somewhere new. I'm grateful for what I have. I have somewhere cool and quiet to lay my head. I have freedom. It's still the next step. Every morning you wake up, the compasses come on, let's get there. Let's get there. And then all these little things just started to happen. Like when you get out of your way and you take that leap of faith, it all works out for itself. Eventually just found a place around the corner. And I've just started meeting all these people, all this synchronicity and all these first-hand lessons of the things that I'm embodying. You just see them everywhere. You'll start to see things. They'll start to click. They'll start to make sense. And until you go on this path, until you really let go, you'll never truly understand what I'm saying. You have to truly feel it and experience it yourself to really get what I'm talking about here. The force is real. When you tap into it, you realize that you can't force the force. You have to step back, let go, and allow the force to flow through you because you can't force the force. It can only flow through you. And the more I do that, the more things just start to turn up, the more freer I feel because I realize that I haven't got the burden of creation. I only have the burden of action, of speed, of actually getting out and having a go, taking a shot, and it'll just all be organized for you. So many things, countless things have just turned up that are just indescribable. And it's almost went down the pride route again because these things were happening. And I still hadn't gone to New Zealand, remember? The master was still over in New Zealand. The wizard across the water was still there. He was waiting for me. Or rather, I was waiting for me to make the decision because I was putting it off because I was afraid to go over there now because I'd now had a happening life going on here. I thought about it and I'd like, no, I don't really need to go anymore. And he reached out to me and said, are you still coming? And I said, oh, I don't think so. This and that's happening. Being the wise master that he is, boom, he just sent me this message, concise, powerful. It was a revelation, a truth. And I went, yeah, have to go. And a friend of mine, a trusted friend of mine said to me, you need to complete the mission. Remember the whole reason why you left to go and see the master. You've met these other people here. You've met these other helpers, these other teachers, these other mentors, but they're not the master. You need to go and see the master. Eventually, stepped out of that comfort zone, went to New Zealand, went to another country, and it was just incredible. Absolutely phenomenal, life-changing to be around that elevated person, to be around that champion motherfucker, to absorb that energy, that level of awareness and presence, just to feel that power, to soak that in. I want that power. And we all have that power. Every single one of us. We've just forgotten that we have it because we're born with it, but it goes dormant because of indoctrination, crappy parents, or our lack of initiation, or media, shitty school system, even just poison ourselves with the food that we eat and the hedonism that we just cherish so falsely. It disconnects us from that purity. Because you look at a child, right? A child is born pure, playful, intelligent, curious, sharing, they're caring. Like any kid born as axe murderers, they're all just reflecting what they've seen. Any kids that embody these behaviors, they're just reflecting what they've learned unconsciously from their unconscious parents and the unconscious media that they've consumed. A child is just fun-loving, expansive, and expressive. Look at them. All they want to do is play. And that's what we're supposed to be, that unique shard, that joyful, expansive, beautiful soul. That's what we all are. But we're also strong as well. And that gets beaten out of us. So being around that master really showed me the true nature, because I was almost there. I was there intellectually, but not energetically, not instinctively, not intuitively. And that's what I learned, is that it really solidified the whole full circle of obeying that internal compass and obeying that gut feeling and just taking that leap of faith. And it just changed everything. And it's just the absolute best thing I could have done. And of course, I don't paint this pretty romantic picture. Don't worry, it was challenging. It was lonely moving to a new town all by myself. I'm still heart-stricken and grief-stricken for the pain that I'd caused, left behind at home. I know that woman that's still up there in grief, pain there, but it had to happen because there was greater pain than staying. Because when it's not a match, it's not a match. Everybody's losing. Everybody's already in pain. So you have to sever it. You have to go through a higher level of pain that lasts for a shorter period of time instead of just a slow deceleration, descending of regret and sufferings. A hell of a journey. And I invite everybody else to just step through that fear.
That's powerful, man. So how much time did you spend with the master?
It was just 2 days, 2.5 days with the master. When you're in that energy, when you're in that presence, you soak it up. And that's the thing, is that because they are so present and powerful, they're like gravity. You just get sucked into it, man, and you take it on board. And then now I work with that master every week, like we are talking now, and routines, disciplines, and rituals of elevation to rid ourselves of all of that lower level, immature survival brainstem mechanisms.
All right. So you spent some time in the Gold Coast, body, bag, and bank account. And you head over to New Zealand. And after the 2 days, you come back?
That's right. Come back completely changed. Beyond just a new man.
Okay. All right. So let me think. I just want to think about, go back to reality here just a minute ago. So I get that. But bank accounts dwindle. They don't stay at that same level unless you got somebody investing for you and continuing to build it while you're there. So I'm assuming that's starting to fall now. You got to buy a plane ticket to New Zealand. You had to spend a couple of days there. You were paying rent or something in the Gold Coast. So where do you go to? What's the venture that has come from this journey?
It's like this. Work is worship. That's how we show our gratitude to the creator, to this whole plane of reality, is work. All reality is work. The only reason any of us can be lazy is because we're living off the consistent effort of others. So what did I do? I just got a job. I just went to work. Anything, whatever it is, you just have to be having money coming in. So that's what I did. And I wanted to do like a sales job of overcoming rejections and getting skills and communication and all that, because I already had that stuff, but actually refine it in a professional sense. Just the timing of everything. But just so happened that as soon as I got back, just fell into that role. And I didn't go and fill out an application online or any of that crap. I just saw what I wanted and got it. Just went and saw the people face to face and said, "Hey man, how you doing?" That's what you do in life. You go and take your seat. Don't try and hide behind a text message. Just send an email. If there's ever the opportunity where you can just go and see someone face to face or just ring them up and just be yourself and just exude that energy, you'll get it. So that's what I did is I just went and became a door-to-door salesperson, fundraising charities for like a few months. I developed all this communication skills and what do you call it? Self-reliance and just getting over the fear of just knocking on people's doors and meeting strangers. But here's the thing though, the conscience is always calling. That needle is always going and it's always telling you the next step. Now I'm wise enough to know that it said, okay, this isn't working anymore. You've done your time. You've gathered what you needed. Time to move on. That's what I did. So I left there. I didn't know what I was going to do. I just knew I needed to take the next step. So then I just done a handful of just jobs, like working at an electroplating factory and driving a delivery truck and just trying all these things while actually going through the process of self-mastery and really turning within and really focusing on building those internal resources. Because here's the thing, the external world is a reflection of your internal world. It doesn't matter what you believe in this life. It's a matter of what you're aware of. Awareness trumps belief. And this world, this entire universe, it's a quantum hologram, is a unified field. And it is driven exclusively by consciousness and energy. And that's what we are. We are conscious energy. So when you actually align with yourself, with it, you align physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, consciously, things just start to happen. And that's why when I just left North Queensland, all these things just started to happen, just started to align because I was aligned with my destiny. Because here's the thing, God, the greater power, the ultimate universe, the force, it's real. It is real. It is definitely real because I feel it and you don't know it until you feel it. And it has everything organized for you, but you also get to make the choice. How does that work? How is that causation and how is that free will at the same time? I think God can organize these sorts of things. It's just the way that it is. So that's what I did. And now for money, I just do jobs. And then obviously I do coaching because I know what I need coaching. Everybody needs coaching. The coach has a coach. Coaching has certain connotations attached to it. It's like coach, we just think of it something blasé, like a personal trainer or like the soccer, someone teaching you how to play soccer or a tutor. It is so much more deeper than that. It is the masculine initiation into manhood. It is the spiritual guidance, the initiation of a spiritual elder, of a journey through the shaman. Coaching is just a modern world. But what it's actually really talking about is the powerful process of maturing. And that's what coaching is. And that's what I do now in Uber. And that's how I meet my clients, is because
Yeah,
I don't
that's a
know
great
who's going to
idea.
get
I
in.
never thought about that.
I don't know who's going to get in the car because you never know who's going to get in the car. It's like rolling the dice and people get in and some people, you can tell straight away energetically. You can feel it. They just want to do their own thing or they're not aligned. And here's the thing. I don't try and sell anybody. I don't sell. They buy. Either our energies are going to align or they're not going to align. And it's the same in your life. This job is either going to align or it's not. This relationship, this food, this craft, this book, this project that I'm working from, the people that I'm in business with, it will all align or not align. And it's not bad because someone says no to you or rejects you. That's not bad or good. It just is because it's being organized for you. So that's what I do now, is I just allow the force to flow through me.
That is excellent. And it's, again, powerful that you talk about this alignment between you, your destiny, the energy, and God, or whoever your higher power might be, whatever you might call it, whether
Yeah.
it's Buddha, Jesus, God, whoever, there is your personal higher power. And once that aligns, and this is basically just me paraphrasing back to what you were saying, once it aligns and you follow the energy, the choices come and it's up to you, your free will, to make the choices to move you to your better life. Am I getting
That's
that
the
right?
one, man. Yeah, he will align for you. You just have to get out of your own way. You're making the choices. Things will just turn up. You just never know what's going to happen. Things will happen. It's like I talk about in my book. I call it about luck, right? Luck. Oh, yeah, what good luck that was. Luck is an asset. You can create, you can generate it. You can harness luck. And how do you harness luck? Because that's the thing. When you align with your destiny and you follow your heart, as corny as it sounds, when you do follow your heart, coincidences start to happen. And then coincidences keep coincidentally happening all the time, every day. They're not coincidences, mate. So it's when you're obeying that call, good things happen. When you disobey that call, bad things happen. You'll get more luck. You'll get more flat tires in life. You'll get more bills. You'll get a health disease, a sickness or something like that. You'll get divorced. All this crap will start happening to you when you deny it. I know because it happened to me. I did it for years. Bad things would happen to me because I was denying the call. Even if it is just the karmic debt of pain within, of suffering, of depression, of anxiety, of suicidal thought, all these things, they come up because it gets so bad is because you're denying that alignment so much because you're in a construct control. You just have to let go. You have to let go of everything and face that pain, the real pain within, because it'll tell you what you need to do. It's a matter of short-term, high-intensity pain, and then you actually get a long-term, not pleasure, a long-term fulfillment and elevation. Whereas when you're addicted to vices, or whatever it may be, a vice is anything that takes more than it gives. So that'll be pleasureful in the beginning, but guess what? You wake up the next day feeling like shit. Why is that? Because you're taking tomorrow's happiness and spending it today. So you go through this cycle of all this pleasure seeking, and then guess what? That leads to a long-term life of actual degeneration and suffering and torment. So it's a choice you have to make. You have to either choose the harder pain now for that life that you want, or you just get the real pain, the real hard pain later on, which is
So let me ask you this last question, and this is probably going to take you just a minute to go through. But in somebody that feels like they're stuck, someone that feels like there's something on the other side, they don't know what it is, they're starting to feel this pull, but due to what a lot of us would call it reality, okay? Hey, listen, I got a house, I got stuff, I got bills, I got this, I got that, but they really feel like they should be moving in a different direction. What would be your advice and the steps they should take at that point to start moving them in the right direction?
you got to start with the basics because the basics are the hardest thing to master. Why are they the hardest thing to master? Because they're subtle and boring. Eating healthy food, drinking clean water, exercising, taking that to the next level, actually training, because there's a difference between exercise and training. Exercise is just exercising your range of motion. Training is actually elevating physically, cleaning up, getting rid of all of the vices, all the drugs, all the alcohol, pornography, doom scrolling, gossiping, Netflix, all of that shit, all these things that distract your attention, because then you're left to sit with yourself and then you can get a clearer, barometer on what your intuition is trying to tell you. There's no more bandages. There's no more running away then. And that's how I was able to do what I did because I got those fundamentals right. And they're subtle. Like I said, they're subtle and boring, but they're the hardest to master because what do they require? They require self-control. They require self-mastery. And if you can master self, you can master anything. That is literally, it's the hardest journey. The hardest part is always the beginning. When you can actually get that right, everything else will take care of itself because you're in control. Because when you have that self-mastery and that clarity of a healthy, abundant, energetic existence, the mind will align with the body. Have all these negative thoughts because you aren't negative anymore. You are now positive. You've charged yourself up with all these great habits and these great behaviors. Your self-talk will be great. When you align the body and the mind, you get that clarity. When you get that clarity, then you can actually start to step back from your thoughts. And then you're not jumping in and wrestling with your thoughts all the time. You'll be able to see them as they are. Actually, we have conscious awareness because we're not our brains, we're not our frontal lobes. We're the central seat of experiential consciousness, that 0 point in the center of our skull, not in the front of our skull. Like I said earlier, all the answers are within. We just can't see them because they're behind our eyes. So hit the basics. Just do that basic, boring shit and get self-control. Once you do that, everything else will take care of itself.
And that's when you follow the path will lie out before you. And that's where you'll lead to, the Buddhists would call it nirvana, getting to a point in your life where you're completely relaxed. You know exactly what to do next. And you continue that journey to wisdom.
Yeah.
So
much, man. That's it. It's not complicated. It just takes effort. That's all it is. What?
There's a quote in your book. What's easy to do is also easy not to do. That's the chapter. And what I always call it here is it's simple to do, but it's not easy. Right? Like the process is simple. The process is laid out for you. And each step is easy to do. But it's the externals that keep you from taking those easy steps, right? Yeah, it's really amazing. So Neal Fisher has a book. It's called A Unified Man. I will put a link in the description for you. Also, I see that you've put at Neal Fisher _. Is that all your socials or is that just one platform to stick to?
Yeah, it's just mainly Instagram. I'm on Facebook as well. If you can find me, there's a million Neal Fishers, but Instagram's a go-to.
That's fantastic. So catch him on Instagram. Get the Unified Man. You can get that on Amazon, and I will link that in the show notes. And of course, his socials as well. Neal, thank you so much for joining us. This has been an education and a real value add to all of us, and I really appreciate it.
It's always a pleasure. I'd say the things that I wish I heard 10 years ago. Could have saved me a hell of a lot.
And we're going to have to do this again when you start, not when, but I'm sure you're going to find some more wisdom in your journey that you're doing right now. You're going to align with something else and you're going to pop up and you're going to call me and you're going to be like, yo, Brad, I just came up with this. And then we're going to have to get back on here and we're going to have to do it again. So
there's so much to talk about. Loads to talk about, though. Yeah, nowhere near covering everything today. We'll be back for sure.
Absolutely. And then we can compare notes on fitness and stuff because that's where I started all this was endurance coaching. And I know a lot of things you said resonated with me. Absolutely. All right. Listen, thank you so much. Have fun out there in Australia. And for the rest of you, we'll catch you in the next episode.
Oh.
Well, that wraps up another episode of Life-Changing Challengers. I'm your host, Brad Minus, saying thank you for joining us on this journey of transformation. If today's stories inspired you, please take a moment to review, share, and follow us on your favorite podcast platform. Your support helps us reach more listeners and create an even bigger impact. Remember, every challenge is a chance to grow. Until next time, keep pushing, keep challenging, and never stop pursuing your extraordinary.